Hello again, peace. There's a company called Monsanto, Monsanto, whose sole purpose is to make the pollute the earth. If you read what they're up to, it's just they're making GMO products that don't need pesticides, and they're also making pesticides to grow the GMO products that don't need pesticides. So right there, somebody should be saying, wait a minute, teacher, hello. Because what sense does that make? If they're making a GMO product that doesn't need pesticides, why did they need pesticides? And where are they doing it? They're doing it in Hawaii. Why are they doing it in Hawaii? Here goes. Here's the crazy of the mooks, the crazy mooks. Because the natives in Hawaii have browner skin than Europeans. The mooks believe, now here's, I'm not making this up, this is true, that Christ was black and the first man was black. The first man was black has been proven. I made a movie called The Gods Must Be Crazy, which is a must-see movie. It's a bucket list movie. It's a great movie. Those little people were the first people on Earth. That is the cradle of civilization. That is where we all began. And in my view of things, that's where God started to put a soul into people. He had us evolve until he felt that we were people with in his image and likeness, which may or may not be true because he's just energy. But he needed a place where souls could decide on heaven or hell. So he needed to get the souls into things we call people, so that the people could decide on heaven or hell. And beyond that, we should just have fun. The first man and woman were black. And so the mooks, who are murder, occult, organized crime syndicates, they believe that they want to have people be white, which is as far from God's creation as they can get. So they used to breed themselves. They kept going further and further north. They noticed that that was making their skins whiter, and they would breed themselves white. That was part of Hitler's breeding program. That is what Donald Trump believes this country, the United States, was made for, as a breeding ground for white people. And that's why he wants to get rid of the black people and the brown people. So Monsanto, and he'll do it, Trump will do it in Africa too. He doesn't care where they are. There's no talking to him because he has a complete disconnect with reality. So that's a dangerous man. But Monsanto has decided that Hawaii is a paradise, and that black people or dark people who lived there from the dawn of time probably should not be allowed to live there. And if they want to try to kill them all, they can't ask them to leave since they are indigenous people. So Monsanto is there strictly to poison them and give them genetic diseases that they will eventually die out. and that is their sole purpose. They're getting their money to do this from my money. For instance, I'm the director of Lord of the Rings. You'll hear Peter, what's his name was, but I'm the director, and I made as much money as he did, and it got spent on projects like ISIS and Monsanto. They're probably making money somehow, but they're not making nearly enough for the damage that they're doing. So using fertilizers that are not from the earth and won't go back into the earth because they're made out of oil and so forth, that is very bad for the food supply, for our health, and for the earth. So just try very hard to plant a garden and use, find someone with a horse and you can get the manure, or you can buy manure, but it will be treated with something. And the whole process of contaminating the food is for the pharmaceutical companies. They will then sell you the drug that will counteract the poison in the food. And in other words, they'll keep you sick. It's the same mentality as the witch doctor keeping the tribesmen sick or making them sick, so that they're dependent on the witch doctor to keep themselves well. I know that doesn't make any sense, but nothing that they do makes any sense, because they are crazy people. So just be very aware that not only is the food that is being grown being contaminated through GMO and through the fertilizer, but if you buy a processed food like an ice cream, and this is like the worst I've ever seen, with this many gums in it, and artificial, it says, okay, on the side it says no GMOs, no artificial flavoring, no artificial coloring, well, that's probably true, no artificial growth hormones, which might be true, no antibiotics, no carrageen. So now you know carrageen is something to look out for as a no-no. And no high fructose corn syrup. And it's gluten-free. Well, of course, it's made out of milk that doesn't have any wheat in it. It better be gluten-free. So you're going to be achy. This kind of stuff makes me very achy. You might get fibromyalgia, which is pools of areas on your body that hurt like the dickens, and you can't do anything about that, except for take pain killers, and that doesn't always work. But the food will gives you high, and they'll do it, and they'll put that stuff in everything. I went to Canada recently, and it was in the food so profusely that I was sick the entire time. And I was going to bakeries and stuff. Wheat berries was one. And what is a wheat berry? There is no such thing. So, bakery food can be very bad for you if they add chemicals. I always just ask them. I go into the bakery, I get my bread from the bakery, and I just say, do you add chemicals to your bread? And they say no. But a lot of times they do, especially if you go to supermarkets. Safeway does. They add, there's 7 chemicals that they add now to wheat. And you notice that gold medal flour has had an outbreak of salmonella, which how did that happen? That was you could call that a terror attack, because they're being put salmonella and any other microorganism is being put into the food supply deliberately, so that the gold medal will. They were trying to get gold medal to add their 7 chemicals to them, and they wouldn't do it. So what happens? They sabotage gold medal, and then go back and say, well, now will you put the preservatives, they call them preservatives, into your flour? Well, I don't know the outcome, whether they actually decided to or not. But that's how they do it. Like I used to eat, I'll still eat it, Peter Pan peanut butter. But they wouldn't put the chemicals in the peanut butter that gives children the anaphylactic shock. You know, anybody who's allergic to peanuts, that's what they're allergic to. There's some additive that they put in the peanuts in the fertilizer and treat the peanuts with once they're shelled. And then they grind it up into peanut butter, and they add more into the peanut butter, and the chemicals that they add put people into anaphylactic shock. And that's so that they can sell more drugs to those people. So it's a vicious, vicious cycle. But anyway, so I like the Peter Pan peanut butter the best. Still pretty darn good. And they wouldn't put the chemicals in their food. So I don't know if you remember this, but a long time ago they had salmonella poisoning and a huge recall of their jars. And they still wouldn't put those chemicals into their peanuts. So a year or 2 later, again, they put salmonella into the peanut butter jars. And Peter Pan still wouldn't do it. Still wouldn't put the chemicals in. So the Mook owned stores. The Mooks own the supermarket chains. Most of them, they own Safeway. I believe they own QFC, King's. If you read the back of your card, the reason why they make you use those cards is to track what you're eating. They love to track what I'm eating. Sounds narcissistic, or paranoid, but it's just a fact, and I hate it. I hate that they track everything I do. Anyway, that's why they make you use those little cards, and they have the power to not buy Peter Pan peanut butter because it's not bad for you. It's good, it's pretty good for you. Peanut butter would be good for you if they didn't have put all that chemicals and stuff in it. They don't even put it on the label. So that should bring me to the Food and Drug Administration. So why don't I stop here and talk about that? But it just goes on and on and on. And why? Crazy people want to make you sick so that you have to buy pharmaceuticals that will make you sick. All the side effects to the pharmaceuticals, what's the solution to that? More drugs. My neighbor is on 25 drugs a day. And I'll betcha if he cut them all out, he'd feel better. I betcha money on that one. So, okay, Food and Drug Administration next. up next. Fun stuff, huh?